Welcome to Busuttin Racing. We've just got an insight on some of the three-year-olds coming up for the spring out of the stable that can hopefully get us to a Derby or a Oaks. Sully, he was very unlucky second on Friday night at the Valley in a Group 2 mile. He was originally probably the top of the pecking order for the Derby. Starting at the spring, he ran second in a nice two-year-old race over ground in the autumn, so we sort of earmarked the Derby campaign for him. But just in the last week we've changed tack with him. We've decided to have a crack at the Caulfield Guineas Saturday week. Like I say, he was unlucky on last week, and he's a colt, he's by Tavistock, and it's worth $2 million, so there are 2 million reasons to have a crack at it. And what I'm picking this year will be a very open Guineas. There's probably not a real standout in the race after the weekend's running, and we feel he's a horse that, you know, he should be weighing in, and if the breaks go his way and they go hard in front, he might be a chance of getting home over top of them. This weekend we've got the UCI Stakes over 1800, where we'll have 3 runners, and one of them's Main Stage. He's a reliable man horse. He's had 3 runs in maiden company for a third, a second, and stepped over a bit of ground where he won nicely at Kilmore, and he's taken the next step up, and we run him in the Derby trial at Flemington against a bit of 3-year-olds, where he kicked clear and looked home at 200, only for the Tavistock favourite to come out and get him right on the line, but they distanced the rest of the field. I think there were 3 or 4 lengths back to the third horse, and he'll run on Saturday, and bold showing will see him take his place in the Derby, but as the distance goes further he's going to get better, and he'll be right up to his ears once they get over 2500. Jonny Venko was nominated for the same race. He's still a maiden, but probably shouldn't be for too much longer, but we're going to give him his chance against the better 3-year-olds. I probably can't split these 2 3-year-olds, him and Main Stage. He's a big, strong Savabeel. Again, he'll relish the 2,000 metres and 2,500 when he gets up over that trip. Safely out of this race on Saturday, we'll pick a path, whether we go the Caulfield Classic or the Vars or the Geelong Derby trial. Basically, the best option into the Derby, all going well. Sully's up in Sydney, and he's having a crack in the Group 1 2,000 metre Spring Champion Stakes. He won a couple of races very impressively after having good form behind Lavendi and Royal Symphony, a couple of the favourites for the Guineas, and he won very strongly, albeit doing things very wrong, very wayward. But we went up to Sydney last week, and he did everything right. He raced a little bit flat, to be honest. He probably quick backup of 8 days coupled with a long float trip up there. He just raced below par, but he's had a good freshen up. He's not doing much up there at the moment, just ticking over nicely, a lot of trotting and cantering and swimming. And he'll have a very quiet gallop this week, but we're pretty confident he'll be back, and he'll be running top 3 on Saturday, safely through that. Whether he needs another run into the Derby or not, we'll weigh that up. But again, hopefully he can join the team, and we can have 2 or 3 runners in there. Snogging's a filly that we bought at the Melbourne English sale a couple of sale seasons ago. She's bred to be a Golden Slipper winner. She's I'm Invincible out of a very speedy family, and since we've got her up going, all she wants to do is get over ground. She ran a couple of placings over 1400 and came out last start over 1600 and smashed them, won very authoritatively by about 5 lengths, albeit in lower company, but you can only win, that's what she did. She'll have a chance against the better fillies this week in the Edward Manifold, again over a mile, but probably not up to winning over a mile against the better fillies, but very much so once she gets up to the 2,000 metres, a race like the Ethereal or the Wakefield. She will be amongst the better fillies, and it just shows there's no rules, you know. They're bred to be a 1,000-metre horse, and she's crying out for ground. Angelic Spirit, she probably was the pick of my 3-year-olds at the pick of our 3-year-olds at the start of the spring. She was winning trials and winning track gallops on her ears, just working unbelievable. She won her first start, albeit a bit green and a bit new, and since then she's won again a benchmark 64 against the older horses, which is always tough to do this time of year. And she raced at Caulfield the other day and run 4th, only got beat a length, but the penny hasn't dropped with her. She's got the gears there, but she doesn't know how to work through them. She sort of cruises along, and when it's time to pick up and switch to that last gear and accelerate, she's getting lost. So we're going to put a hood on her, put the blinkers on her on Saturday, ride her a bit quiet, and whether it be this campaign or next time, she's got a real good race in her. She's a group filly without doubt. She just has to learn to put it together, and when she does, she will go bang. Circulate's a a very well-bred filly. She's by Sebring, and she's just an out-and-out staying filly. She's had a couple of runs for the stable, being a new recruit down from Sydney, where she ran second first up over 1400, and she ran in the fillies Oaks trial at Flemington last week. I think she only ran 6th or 7th, but she was very strong on the line, and Michael Walker got off and said with a bit of a grin, he will think he's a madman saying it, but he said if she gets to the Oaks, the distance, she'd be amongst it. He said she's just crying out for ground, she only does what he has to, and it was sort of good to hear, because that's what we had in the back of our minds. Obviously if they win at Oaks, they've got class, but if you can stay and you're strong enough early in the spring, you're a chance of picking up some of the money, and this filly is certainly capable of doing that. Hopefully we have 2 or 3 runners in each of the classics. Obviously they're classics for a reason, they're tough to win, but if we can get the runners there and get the winners, it would certainly, they're the races you want to win, and that's what the stable's all about, aiming up in the spring. So hopefully we can get a result for a few sets of owners.